Two men in a truck are helping me move. I actually am from the Lansing area, so I've been around long enough to know that they were really originally two men in a truck. They've been around a long time, they've grown. So I decided that that was the move for me.
Well, I think what's remained constant is our family and how we are. I couldn't be luckier as a mom to have these three wonderful kids.
We have always been, all of us kids, my mom and my dad, very entrepreneurial.
When we were in high school, most of our friends had jobs delivering pizzas, flipping burgers. We decided we wanted to do something a little bit different. We had an old pickup truck and that 1966 Ford, and we decided to start hauling trash and brush with it.
They did a good job most of the time, and people just kept calling.
We called ourselves Men at Work Movers, and our first tagline in a weekly paper said Men at Work Movers. Underneath that it said two men in a truck, $25 an hour. And so it was Mary Ellen, our mom, that said, why don't you drop Men at Work Movers and call yourselves two men in a truck? And then my mom, as a joke on a napkin, drew a picture of John and myself in this truck. And that joke eventually became our logo.
A lady called once, she said, you are so smart to have a child draw your logo. But it was me, it wasn't a child.
Now what we get are marketing people that will come to us and go, who came up with that? It was absolutely brilliant. It was like, that was my mom.
In the beginning, it was just good money. And then later, we started getting compliments from our customers. And eventually, you get a fever for that.
We started moving apartments and small homes, and always, as we go down and move that freezer that hasn't been moved in 15 years.
Whatever we could do to make them happy.
When John and I left to go to college, the calls just kept pouring in. And so my mom, she called us up at school and said, do you mind if I hire a couple of guys and keep this going?
We thought, great.
So I hired two movers and bought that old truck, but I never had a business plan or anything. And starting a small business is so fun, but you work so hard. And I really got into it. And I buy one truck and another truck, and I just loved it. I loved it. Helen Ella Eberle's my mom, and she's this little teeny lady. She was 4'10". She had a bun on top of her head.
We used to run the company out of her barn behind her house in Okemos.
I parked one truck, two trucks. Finally, we had 5 trucks there, and she loved having them there.
She would take a little broom out there and she would try to broom the trucks off. And you could tell she was out there because she could only reach about halfway up the door.
She would let us know what time the guys showed up, what time the trucks pulled out. And there were a couple times that she'd walked out there and crawled under a truck and took a coat hanger and wired up a bumper or something.
We called her the yard boss, and she loved that, and she loved being a part of that.
First year we were in business, I started in May, and I made $1,000 at the end of that year. So I wrote 10 checks to local charities and gave it away, and it was so proud.
She could have grown the company in a couple different ways. A friend of hers approached her and said, Mary Ellen, you should franchise that business. And she owned a franchise company called Pet Nanny. And my mom said, franchise? All we do is move people. Who would want a franchise? And the lady said, well, all we do is feed people's cats and dogs when they're away on vacation, and we're franchised.
I said, okay, we'll do it.
At the time I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, and my mom kept calling me, trying to encourage me to start a two men in a truck. And I asked her, does it make any money? And she's like, I'm not sure yet, but people really seem to need the service. And to be honest, I couldn't imagine giving up my pharmaceutical sales job, my dream job, to run a moving company. But my mom had a lot of influence on me, so I went out and I bought an old used truck, and I started Two Men in a Truck in Atlanta, Georgia. We had to learn everything the hard way, very naive, but I did end up being her first franchisee.
I kept close track. I was really excited to get out of school and get my own going.
John went to some franchise shows with me. I remember him saying, when are we going to get paid? I need to get paid for this. There was no money to pay anybody.
In 1994, my mom called and she said, Melanie, do you want to be president of Two Men in a Truck, the franchise company? She said, the one catch is I can't pay you anything.
So she came to work, bless her heart, briefcase, business suit, had no desk for her. I told her to sit by the copy machine. I wasn't going to give up my office.
There was so much to do. I knew we needed support people. I knew we needed accounting people. I knew we needed marketing people. And bringing in those outside resources, they brought so much knowledge, talent, and experience with them. So 2 Men and a Truck just began to blossom very, very quickly.
She brought us from 30-some franchise up to way over 100, way over.
And your business changes so much with every one of those benchmarks. My brother Brig became CEO, my brother John, Executive Vice President. We hired our first outside president, Randy Shaka, a young, brilliant man that started here as an intern out of college.
Fast forward 13 years, it's been just amazing to see the amount of growth, the amount of challenges we overcome as a brand, but to still be a family run with our core values and our core purpose at the forefront is something I'm very proud of.
Well, there's a large etching in our lobby of my mother's picture with a little bun on her head and her big glasses, and it tells about the grammar rule.
That is to treat everyone that you work with and our customers as if it were your grandma, with patience, dignity, and respect.
I like the simplicity of it. We actually wow our customers with our service, not with our fancy name or our fancy trucks.
We have a chance to impact lives in terms of our communities. We have a chance to move another family to their new beginnings and do it in a great way. And we have franchise owners that truly care about our model and our success.
In some ways, each of those franchises that come on board are like how we started as a business here. You know, it's 2 guys and a truck, and now it's, you know, more like 2 or 3 or 4 trucks, and maybe 8 to 15 guys. But it's really the same story being replicated over and over again.
This right here is a replica of the 66 Ford pickup truck that we started the business with. I shouldn't call it a replica, so it looks a hell of a lot nicer than what we used to drive.
This is a Ford F100, which I don't think they make anymore. They start at the 150. There's not power anything on this. No air conditioning, no power windows, brakes, steering, everything's manual. The only thing that this has that the original one didn't have is a super loud air horn.
Fire away, man. It will be parked right in front of our corporate headquarters at 2 Men and a Truck.
I think, to me, it just kind of keeps us grounded.
One thing that holds true from back in the days when John and I first started up until now, you know, it sounds like a cliche, but it's customer service. Actually never has really changed since it was us with 2 guys and 2 kids and 1 pickup truck to about 5,000-6,000 movers and 2,100 trucks. So it's a reminder of people at our corporate office and our visitors that we have not let go of that. I want to thank you all for taking your time to spend this special day with us. You have all seen us grow over the years and have all played a part in our success, and for that, my family thanks you all.
But just getting here and seeing this, I am so happy for everyone that works here, that they are here, and I'm so touched. I looked out in that crowd, and there are all these people that I knew from years ago, and new people.
There are very few things harder to do in life than to start an organization, to go find customers, to find the resources to be successful. And this family is an outstanding illustration of doing that.
What I think is funny now as we sit in this big, beautiful new building is this little whimsical 2 Men and a Truck has grown to the size that we've grown. It's kind of surreal, but we've had our nose to the grindstone for 30 years now in this business.
And the best part about that is the bigger that we get and the more that we have, not only are we creating jobs, but we're giving back to the community.
I think following our core values and actually living it is what has made this company what it is.
Every family member brought something to the table, and working together, and then really that family just doesn't stop with Mary Ellen and myself and Melanie and John, but the family concept grows out.
I think to their credit, they make us all feel like family, and I think that's the culture they've created here.
Life is not a dress rehearsal, so enjoy what you're doing. I would do everything again, and I wouldn't do any different. I mean, I loved owning this business.